For many, the 1980s belonged to the A-Team. Every week, Colonel Hannibal, B.A. Baracus, Faceman, and Murdoch exploded onto our screens in a thrilling symphony of action, adventure, and outlandish plans. While the show's off the air, its legacy lives on, thanks in part to the unforgettable performances of the actors who brought these characters to life. Sadly, time hasn't been kind to all the A-Team players. Let's take a walk down memory lane and remember the fallen members of this iconic squad. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go. George Peppard as John Hannibal Smith. Though known for his sharp suits and sophisticated air, George Peppard wasn't afraid to get down and dirty. Following a successful Broadway career, he made a strong film debut in The Strange One. He rose to fame opposite Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Some might argue his most compelling performance came in the lesser-known war drama Pork Hill. This film showcased his ability to portray not just charm and charisma, but also grit and resilience. Over 25 films saw him portray a variety of characters, from dramatic roles to action heroes. He also wasn't afraid of the small screen, starring in multiple TV shows like the mystery series Banachek and the medical drama Doctor's Hospital. Peppard even dabbled behind the camera, directing and producing projects like the film 5 Days from Home. Interestingly, he even had a brush with the iconic soap opera Dynasty, playing the role of Blake Carrington in the pilot episode before the part ultimately went to John Forsythe. Despite his reputation for being a demanding perfectionist on set, Peppard found a surprising sense of enjoyment with The A-Team. The show's action-packed, lighthearted tone seemed to be a welcome change for the actor. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, Peppard himself described it as an opportunity to break free from the constraints of traditional leading man roles. The show allowed him to explore his comedic timing and showcase his range by playing characters in disguise. Everything from a Chinese person to a down-and-out drunk. Peppard saw The A-Team as a chance to finally fulfill his long-held desire to transition from leading man to character actor, something he hadn't been given the opportunity to do in films. This experience highlights Peppard's dedication to his craft and his willingness to embrace new challenges, even if it meant stepping outside his comfort zone. In a bid to secure his financial future, Peppard decided to invest in a cattle ranch. This venture required a significant upfront cost, prompting him to sign a lucrative 5-picture deal with Universal Studios in 1966. The agreement stipulated 2 films in the first year, followed by 1 film each year for the next 3 years. While this deal brought in a steady paycheck, actress Elizabeth Ashley, who was Peppard's wife at the time, argued that it ultimately hurt his career. Under this contract, Peppard appeared in a string of films over a short period. These included Rough Night in Jericho, a Western co-starring Dean Martin, and What's So Bad About Feeling Good, a comedy directed by George Seaton and featuring Mary Tyler Moore. However, none of these movies were particularly successful at the box office. Ashley claimed that the pressure to churn out commercial films and the lack of artistically fulfilling roles led Peppard to turn to alcohol. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, Peppard's film career had entered a slump. Despite his efforts to secure better roles and even develop his own projects, the string of commercially unsuccessful movies under the Universal contract seemed to overshadow his earlier successes. This period also coincided with a rise in his personal struggles with alcohol, as reported by Ashley. To add to his woes, even films like Cannon for Cordoba, a Western where he played a steely captain, and One More Train to Rob, another Western, failed to find critical or commercial acclaim. Disillusioned with the quality of work he was being offered, Peppard's frustration mounted. In an attempt to escape the Hollywood rut, he even participated in a USO tour for American troops stationed in Vietnam in 1970. In his later years, Peppard decided to try something different and appeared in several plays. One was called Papa, where he played the famous writer Ernest Hemingway. He even put his own money into the production. Peppard said he felt a connection to Hemingway, mentioning their shared experiences with marriage. Both guys were married 4 times, and drinking. The play was a hit. Peppard also worried about being stuck playing the same kinds of roles in movies and TV. He said he felt typecast, which means people only thought of him for certain characters. This frustrated him because he wanted to do more variety. He knew Hollywood cared about making money, so they often cast actors in familiar roles for safe bets. Despite this struggle, Peppard kept trying. He worked on getting funding for a movie about a drug cartel but wasn't successful. He also hoped to land another TV series for steady work and a chance at another hit. On a brighter note, Peppard found enjoyment in a play called The Lion in Winter. He said it made him really happy, a feeling he hadn't had in a long time. He even wished he could just keep doing that play for a couple of years. Peppard's last TV appearance was on an episode of Matlock. It was meant to be a pilot for a new show about a private investigator family, but it never got picked up. This episode aired just a week before he passed away. Peppard's last TV project was a planned series of detective movies called Man Against the Mob, set in the 1940s. He played a cop named Frank Dokey, but sadly they only made 2 movies before he passed away. Peppard was a well-known drinker and smoker and underwent surgery for lung cancer. Thankfully, Peppard found the strength to overcome this challenge. In fact, he went on to use his experience to help others struggling with similar issues. Later in life, Peppard received another blow in the form of a lung cancer diagnosis in 1992. Doctors performed surgery to remove part of a lung, and Peppard was forced to quit his 3-pack-a-day cigarette habit. Despite these health setbacks, Peppard never fully retired from acting. His dedication to his craft was evident as he continued to take on roles. In fact, he even filmed a pilot for a new series called The P.I. shortly before his death. This project, which ultimately aired as an episode of Matlock, showcased Peppard playing an aging detective, a role that perhaps reflected his own remarkable career journey. Sadly, Peppard's battle with lung cancer came to an end in 1994 when he passed away from pneumonia. Dana Elcar as Judge Leonard Mordente. Before MacGyver could use a paperclip and duct tape to save the day, he needed a trusty partner. Enter Dana Elcar, a prolific character actor who became a TV mainstay. Elcar carved his niche with diverse roles, from a cop on the chilling Dark Shadows to a detective on the gritty Beretta. Though Elcar thrived on television, his talents graced the silver screen too, with roles in classics like The Sting and 2010. But it was his portrayal of Pete Thornton, MacGyver's ever-reliable sidekick, that cemented his place in pop culture. By the time of his passing, Elcar had racked up over 150 screen credits, leaving behind a legacy of memorable performances. Richard Elcar started his acting career on the stage in New York City. In 1962, he landed a big role in a play called The Dumb Waiter, and that same year, he also started acting in a soap opera called The Guiding Light. This soap opera gig opened doors for him on other TV shows like the funny sitcom Car 54, Where Are You? And the crime drama Naked City. Elcar became a familiar face on TV, especially in the 70s and 80s. He played a variety of characters, from a sheriff in a spooky soap opera called Dark Shadows to a police inspector in a crime show with Robert Blake. He even showed up in some popular shows like Gunsmoke, Columbo, and The A-Team. He also directed episodes of a military drama called Bah Bah Black Sheep. In addition to TV, Elcar appeared in a few movies, including The Sting and some disaster flicks. Elcar guest starred on Get Smart as Chaos Agent Kruger in the 2-part 1969 episode titled And Baby Makes 4. In 1970, he appeared on CBS's Mission Impossible and Storefront Lawyers. In 1971, he guest starred on Ironside. In 1973, he appeared on The Waltons and Kung Fu. Elar had a regular role as Colonel Lard in the military drama Vaugh, Black Sheep, starring Robert Conrad from 1976 to 1978, and he also directed 4 episodes of the series. He appeared in TV disaster movies like Heat Wave, 1974, and Crisis in Midair, 1979. He also appeared in The Sting, 1973. Sadly, on June 6, 2005, Elar died at the Community Memorial Hospital in Ventura, California from pneumonia at age 77. Jack Ging as General Harlan Bull Fulbright. You might know him best as the gruff but lovable General Bull Fulbright from the A-Team. But Jack Ging's career spanned decades and a wide range of genres. Jack Ging's life before acting was full of interesting twists and turns. Born in Oklahoma in 1931, his early years were shaped by his parents' divorce. Instead of a traditional upbringing, he spent some time with another family. This experience likely built resilience in him. He later found a sense of community and structure at a Catholic school in New Mexico. But academics weren't his only passion. Jack was a natural athlete, channeling his energy into football. He served his country in the Marines for 4 years, then took his athletic talents to the college gridiron at the University of Oklahoma. He even went pro, playing a season for the Edmonton Eskimos in Canada. It seems like acting wasn't always the plan, but these early experiences undoubtedly helped shape the man he became. Nicknamed Jackie or Ginger, Ging honed his craft under the renowned Sanford Meisner in New York before launching his screen career in 1958. Television became his primary stomping ground, where he thrived as a supporting actor. Ging's talents were well suited for a variety of roles, from portraying sly or villainous characters to portraying the upstanding authority figure. Notably, his real-life horseback riding skills, honed in his childhood, translated perfectly to numerous appearances in classic westerns. Ging wasn't limited to the small screen, however. He had a notable starring role in the Korean War drama Sniper's Ridge, where he stood out as the sole competent soldier amidst a ragtag platoon. Interestingly, Ging also crossed paths with Clint Eastwood on several occasions, sharing the screen in films like Play Misty for Me, Hang 'em High, and the haunting High Plains Drifter. While many might instantly recognize him as the gruff but ultimately lovable General Harlan Bull Fulbright in the A-Team, Ging's filmography goes far beyond that iconic role. He established himself as a dependable presence on television long before the A-Team, with recurring roles in shows like Mackenzie's Raiders and as Dale Robertson's sidekick Beau McLeod in the final season of Tales of Wells Fargo. He also landed series regular spots on Mannix as police insider Lieutenant Dan Ives and the more rigid local cop Ted Quinlan in Riptide. Ging's dedication to his craft kept him active in television well into the 1990s, with his last credited guest appearance coming in 1994. Outside of acting, Ging had a prosperous sideline in real estate and was known as an expert golfer and a one-time Clint Eastwood celebrity tennis tournament champion. Jack Ging married young, then wed Gretchen Groening in 1956. They had a son before divorcing in 1973. In 1978, he married Sharon Ramona Thompson, with whom he had 2 daughters. Sadly, Ging passed away peacefully at his California home in 2022 at the age of 90. Danny Wells as film director Danny Wells is a name that might trigger 2 different memories for you. Were you a fan of classic sitcoms in the 70s and 80s? Then you probably recognize Wells from his friendly face on shows like Columbo and Starsky and Hutch. Or maybe you were a gamer in the 90s who enjoyed belting out Mamma Mia with everyone's favorite green-clad plumber. If that's the case, then Wells' voice acting talents as Luigi in the Super Mario Bros. Super Show are what come to mind. He kicked things off in the early 70s on American television, landing roles on shows that were popular at the time. But it was his portrayal of the warm and welcoming bartender Charlie on The Jeffersons that cemented his place in sitcom history. He played this role for a full decade, becoming a familiar and beloved character to viewers throughout the 70s and 80s. The 80s brought a steady stream of supporting roles in shows like the action-packed Chips and the ever-popular The A-Team. However, 1989 marked a turning point for Wells. He landed the iconic voice role of Luigi in The Super Mario Bros. Super Show. This wasn't just a fun side project. It launched a successful voice acting career that has seen him contribute to shows like Johnny Bravo and video games like Splinter Cell. He even lent his talents to the critically acclaimed film Magnolia in 1999, proving his acting chops extend beyond the small screen and the realm of animation. Many fans were saddened to learn of Danny Wells's passing in Toronto in 2013. The beloved actor, who brought laughter to audiences for decades, succumbed to cancer at the age of 72. His legacy extends far beyond sitcom reruns. Wells' voice as Luigi in The Super Mario Bros. Super Show made him a favorite among gamers, too. The timing of his passing was particularly poignant, happening during Nintendo's Year of Luigi and the character's 30th anniversary celebration. One look at Wells's obituary tells you everything you need to know about the kind of performer he was. Danny followed his dreams. He made them laugh. And his headstone inscription, "Keep 'em Laughing," perfectly captures his dedication to bringing joy to others. While he may be gone, Danny Wells's work continues to entertain fans of all ages. So next time you hear Luigi's iconic voice or catch a glimpse of Wells in a classic show, take a moment to remember the man who brought those characters to life. A true comedic talent who will be missed. Robert Vaughn as General Hunt Stockwell. From iconic westerns to suave secret agents, Robert Vaughn left his mark on Hollywood. His father was a radio actor and his mother starred on stage. RHE exploded onto the scene with an Oscar nomination for his role in The Young Philadelphians, and quickly followed it up with a part in the iconic western The Magnificent Seven. Despite this early A-list start, Vaughn found himself hustling throughout the late 1950s and early 1960s, racking up over 200 guest appearances on various TV shows. This period honed his acting skills and prepared him for his breakout role. In 1963, Vaughn landed the lead in the television series The Lieutenant. This proved to be a pivotal moment. The show's success caught the eye of producer Norman Felton, who was looking for the perfect actor to portray Napoleon Solo in the upcoming spy series, The Man from UNCLE. Vaughn's charisma and talent were a perfect fit, and the show became a global phenomenon for 4 seasons. Vaughn, however, wasn't content to rest on his laurels as a television star. He had a strong desire to make his mark on film, so after UNCLE ended in 1968, he transitioned back to the big screen, co-starring alongside Steve McQueen in the action-packed thriller Bullet. Throughout the 1970s, Vaughn continued to balance film and television work. He appeared in movies like The Bridge at Remagen and The Mind of Mr. Soames, showcasing his dramatic range. Vaughn also wasn't afraid to take risks. In the early 1970s, he ventured across the pond to England and took the lead role in the British series The Protectors. This experience demonstrated his adaptability and willingness to embrace new challenges. Upon returning to the United States in the mid-1970s, Vaughn found a sweet spot in television miniseries. He delivered powerful performances in projects like Washington Behind Closed Doors, which earned him an Emmy Award, and Backstairs at the White House, which garnered him an Emmy nomination. The 1970s marked a turning point for Robert both personally and professionally. In 1974, he married actress Linda Staub, finding a partner in life. This decade also saw the culmination of his academic pursuits with the publication of his thesis, Only Victims, a study of show business blacklisting. This insightful work explored the dark chapter of Hollywood's history during the McCarthy era, contributing valuable research to the field. Robert's career continued to flourish in the following decades. he seamlessly transitioned between film and television, showcasing his acting range across genres. The 1980s brought him roles in films like the satirical comedy S.O.B. and the superhero flick Superman 3. He also found success on the small screen, becoming a familiar face in popular series like The A-Team and the military drama Emerald Point NAS. Never shying away from the stage, Robert also actively participated in theatrical productions throughout this period. The 1990s maintained the variety that had become a hallmark of Robert's career. Made-for-television movies provided a steady stream of work, allowing him to explore diverse characters. He also made guest appearances on established shows like the long-running soap opera As the World Turns, the sitcom The Nanny, and the critically acclaimed legal drama Law and Order. In a unique twist, Robert even reprised his role from the classic Western film The Magnificent Seven in its 1998 television remake. Beyond television, he continued to land roles in major feature films like the quirky comedy Joe's Apartment and the sports parody Basketball. Even as he entered the new millennium, Robert remained active, taking on smaller roles that continued to showcase his talent and dedication to the craft. Vaugh was also a longtime Democrat. His family in Minneapolis was also involved in Democratic politics. Early in his career, he was known as a liberal Democrat. He opposed the Hollywood blacklist because he believed in free speech, but also disliked communism as a totalitarian system. Vaugh supported John F. Kennedy in the 1960 presidential election and actively campaigned for Democratic candidates in the 1960s. He was the first well-known American actor to speak out against the Vietnam War and was part of the peace group Another Mother for Peace. Vaugh debated William F. Buckley, Jr. on Firing Line about the Vietnam War. He, along with Dick Van Dyke and Carl Reiner, started dissenting Democrats. In the 1968 presidential election, they supported Senator Eugene McCarthy, who ran against Vice President Hubert Humphrey because of Humphrey's support for the Vietnam War. People thought Vaugh might have his own political ambitions, but in a 1973 interview, he said he had no interest in running for office. After the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy in 1968, Vaugh said he lost heart for the battle. Sadly, Robert died of acute leukemia on November 11, 2016, in Ridgefield, Connecticut. His last acting credit, Gold Star, 2017, was released the year of his death. Red West as Lightning Trask, Elvis Presley's inner circle, had a new recruit, a tough guy with a heart of gold named Red West. They met in high school, where West's athletic prowess, football, Golden Gloves, boxing, likely caught the eye of the future king. This friendship blossomed, and Red became a trusted member of Elvis's entourage, the infamous Memphis Mafia. West lived with his mother, Lois West, in the Hurt Housing Project in Memphis. He became Elvis's personal driver, taking Elvis and band members Scotty Moore, Bill Black, and later DJ Fontana to different southern cities for live performances from 1955 to 1956. West then served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1956 to late 1958 and was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, which allowed him to stay in touch with Elvis. On August 14, 1958, West's estranged father, Newton Thomas West, passed away, the same day as Elvis's mother, Gladys Presley. Red West parlayed his physical talents into a successful Hollywood career. While supporting Elvis Presley in the 60s, West landed roles as a stuntman and even small acting parts in 16 of the King's films. This experience opened doors, leading to stunt work on shows like The Rebel and a recurring role as a stuntman henchman on the popular series The Wild Wild West. West's dedication to his craft wasn't without risks. A serious injury during a stunt on The Wild Wild West unfortunately sidelined him for some time. Despite the setback, West continued to impress with his skills, forging a friendship with the show's star, Robert Conrad. Ultimately, The Wild Wild West was canceled due to concerns about violence on television, but West's legacy as a talented stuntman and actor remained secure. Conrad took a nasty spill on the set of The Night of the Fugitives. He wasn't messing around with his stunts, and that chandelier scene turned out a little too real. Let's just say he ended up with a concussion that rattled him more than a stagecoach, a cracked skull that would make anyone see stars, and even some temporary paralysis. Not exactly the souvenirs you want from filming. No wonder the insurance company freaked out. After that, forget about Conrad swinging from ropes or jumping off buildings. The insurance company put its foot down and insisted he use a stunt double. Conrad wasn't happy about it. Insert grumpy Conrad quote about being limited. He grumbled about it for years, like someone forced him to switch from whiskey to milk. But deep down, even Conrad knew the score. The show came up with a sneaky trick to keep the action going. They'd bring in a stunt double who looked enough like Conrad to fool the audience. This stunt guy would get things rolling with the risky part, then Conrad would jump in at the end to make it seem like he did the whole thing. It's a tactic they use in a lot of movies, and it worked for Conrad's co-star and his double too. Conrad might have complained, but eventually he realized it probably wasn't the best idea for him to keep pushing his luck and the stunt guy's limits. He even admitted that all those stunts might have overshadowed his acting a bit. Maybe he had a point. Sometimes the best acting isn't about how high you can jump, but how well you deliver a line. After his sheriff days, he moved on to play a bunch of other characters on TV. He got tough as a sergeant on a show called Black Sheep Squadron, and even showed up on famous shows like Magnum P.I. and Knight Rider. He was all over the place, playing different characters each time. In 1989, West took a turn in an action movie with Patrick Swayze called Roadhouse. He wasn't exactly the hero this time, but he was a memorable character. Later on, West took a dramatic turn. He played a lonely older guy in a movie called Goodbye Solo. The critics loved it, saying West wasn't just acting, he completely became the character. West's last movie role was in 2013. He played a kind store clerk in a film called Safe Haven. Sadly, West died on July 18, 2017, aged 81, from an aortic aneurysm at Baptist Memorial Hospital in his native Memphis. That's a look back at some of the talented actors who brought these iconic characters to life. Who was your favorite character, and why? Share your thoughts and memories in the comments below. Who will be featured on our next classic sitcom cast tribute? Stay tuned to find out. See you next time.